Hello, everyone, and welcome on the Minds and Minds podcast. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome our guest, Laura Viñals, who works for Kilian Jornet Foundation. Laura, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks to you for having us here.
So today we will discuss about the foundation, how you preserve the nature, the mountains, and the history of the foundation. Maybe we can start right away. Laura, to start, how did you knew this foundation, and how did your personal journey lead to cross path with Kilian and these specific points?
Yeah, sure. And I think that this is a very great question to start with, because a lot of people ask to the KGF team, how did you end up here? Because it's not that common when you work on the outdoor industry or in any kind of industry, the foundations, organizations, NGOs, it's not that easy to reach sometimes. And my beginnings and my background, I studied business a few years ago already. And then I specialized and I did a master's on sports management. I've always been related to sports. And then I started working in the outdoor industry. I worked for an international brand for almost 5 years as a marketing manager in Spain. And I also was specialized a little bit more on the trail running category. So from that period, I was in touch with so many people that now I also meet again. And I was there. Actually, I was pretty good. I love the brand, the team. But I decided after COVID, I decided to quit and to do one of the personal projects that I had on mind for a few years ago, that it was do a gap year, traveling to different places, discovering new cultures, new landscapes. And I did this 1 year traveling. And when I came back, I was thinking a lot, okay, now what's next? No, I decided come back. So what's next? I live in Barcelona. So, when you come back, it's easily to get back to the productive world that it's difficult to get out from. But during my trip, I was thinking a lot, okay, I want to keep on the outdoor industry. I like my role as a marketing communication manager, but I want to add something else. And here is when the sustainability topic came up to my mind, and I decided to start looking for some brands that could work on that direction, as Normal, for example. And from there, as I had some contacts from the industry before, I just started to chat with different people, and they said, hey, did you hear about the Kilian Jornet Foundation that actually started in 2020 when I just almost quit my previous job?
So you already knew about trail running and everything. You were already running.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. So, I just meet some people that said, hey, from the trail running scope, and said, yeah, there's this project from the KGF led by Kilian, and I just got in contact with them, and for me it was kind of the perfect match, because it mixes, and now with the conversation I will explain, but the KGF mixes a lot of things. It mixes for sure environmental projects, scientific projects. So it touches a lot the sustainability approach and nature preservation that I was looking for. But also it works a lot with brands. It works with the outdoor industry. It works with events, trail running events. So it was kind of a perfect match for me, trying to connect all the dots that I had as my previous background, plus the things that I wanted to explore further. This is how I started already 3 years and a half.
I think what's really interesting about your story is that it feels like you had the need to use like the marketing skills that you had to like for a good project, a good reason. So it's very cool, and like you mix passion and skills. So I like this. Kilian is the face of the foundation. What's his job in the foundation, and how do you like translate the world-class athlete's intuition in a structure like an NGO?
So just to contextualize a bit, as I mentioned, the foundation was started in 2020, in a year that it was quite difficult to start anything with the pandemic situation. And so the project started actually in 2021. From the very beginning, Kilian, a foundation is divided into the board of the trustees that it's like the board of direction for the organization, and then all the staff. No, so Kilian is the president of the Kilian Jornet Foundation. But in any case, and if you know, and I'm sure that you know a lot of Kilian, he's super involved with the Kilian Jornet Foundation. So he really started this foundation in 2020 with the main goal of preserving mountains, landscapes that have given him a lot during all his personal and professional life, and he wanted to give back something positive to these environments and the communities living there. So that's why the main goal is preserving mountains and its environments. So from the very beginning, Kilian has been the president. There is a team also on this board of trustees, and plus the team that we are working daily on the KGF. And he has a lot of roles. He's the top architect, but he's also an entrepreneur with Normal. He's an activist with the Kilian Jornet Foundation, but he finds always time to support the projects, to be involved in reviewing any document that we can also say, hey, Kilian, please have a look at it. He's also sharing his vision in terms of different projects that we must start thinking about. I mean, at the end, Kilian, it's creativity. It's a lot of getting better day by day. And this is also something that we got at the KGF from him.
Also, what I love about the foundation is that you mix research, direct action, and like educational task too. When you arrived in the foundation, what was your first thing that you wanted to solve like immediately and like talk about it and everything precisely?
Yeah. So when I arrived, there was this first project going on that it was the Green Trail concept that we have actually launched this 2026. The Green Trail concept is this certification scheme that we have created for trail running races. And when I landed here, it was kind of a perfect project because I knew the sector, I knew the event, I have been working with them. And it was like, wow, there is a lot to say in terms of communication and also about developing the certification, that it has been very interesting and challenging at the same time. But this was a European co-founded project, and we were a consortium of 4 entities, but it has been very insightful to work on this project from the very beginning. And when I landed here, I realized, okay, there is a lot to say with this project because trail running races are increasing a lot. Trail running sector, we know that there is more pressure than ever on environments that have these races going on, also in the communities. So how can we really be part of this transformation of the sector on this moment where trail running is boosting now? So for me, it was very interesting to land at the KGF with these first projects. And then the first thing that I wanted to do when I arrived here, it was like, okay, I have been always worked on the marketing side, but trying to convert the message with sales. And here it's not about conversion, it's about sensibilization, about education. So my challenge and also my witness on the KGF was, okay, how can I translate this message into action at the end? That it was what and it is what we are trying to do with all the projects that are into, as you mentioned, in the research pillar, in the education, and the direct actions one that I will spend a little bit more after.
To stay a bit on the subject of the Green Trail project, which is, I think, co-founded by Erasmus+, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to know, is it possible to have a carbon neutral international race? Or for you, is that a myth?
Yeah, I mean, we have been working on this 3 years. We have analyzed a lot of events. We have also been working with events such as Tegama, that it's the first race that now this year, 2026, we will certify with the Green Trail Concept Certification Scheme. And I mean, there is one topic that even if you are a large event organization or a smaller one, that impacts directly on the on the environment, which is transport. Transportation is also one of the big topics on events. Transportation from the runners to the places, from the audience. You can try to do a lot of different actions that are gathered on this certification, and that we are trying to motivate race organizers to do things differently, but also the audience, also the municipalities, also the administration. So it's something that the different stakeholders should take part, even if the certification is for the race organizers itself. But carbon neutral, I mean, you have an impact. Just for existing, there is an impact. You can compensate that it's offsetting the impact that you are having in CO2, and then it could be kind of carbon neutral, but it's not that it's not creating an impact. So what we are trying to do is with this certification is, okay, let's see where your major impact is, what are the tools that we can give you to support on this transition to mitigate that, and try to at first lower as max the impact, and then there are all these compensation projects, offsetting projects for CO2, but we are always trying for the KGA to give the first message of reducing the impact, trying to have it as much as positive as possible.
Okay, but you would say that like the environmental sin that the runners do is like the transportation. Of course, it's always like if you take the plane to go to a race, even if the race is perfect, you take the plane. So
yeah. The only thing is that with this certification, in terms of environmental, it could be the pillar that has major impact, but we also added some value to the Green Trail concept in regards of other tools that exist in the market, that we introduce the social and economical aspect of the event. So it's not just about environmental impact that an event could have on these environments, but also the social legacy, the social impact that it has, the diversity that represents the inclusion, inclusivity, etc. And then in terms of economical aspects, such as the also local impact that has this event on the population living there, on the economy from that place. So yeah, it could be that if we go to the environmental, there is this big part of the impact which comes from transportation, but there is a lot of other things, categories, biodiversity, trails, that waste management that are on the environmental that could be mitigated. And there's a lot also if you reduce that. But then let's also don't forget the social and economical impact of an event, that it's also very important to consider. And this is also what we are trying to do with the Green Trail concept.
Okay. I would also like to talk about like the research parts of your work, because like every project that you do is data proven, and there's something behind the project. So are you founding scientific projects? How does it work?
Yeah, no, we're not funding at that time scientific projects. In 2021, we support the World Glacier Monitoring Service in Switzerland with economical support to one of the sensors that they need to evaluate the glacier retreatment. But at this point, currently, we are not supporting directly, but we are enrolled in different research projects. And how we are enrolled is we collaborate a lot with research centers, with scientists that has the technical, for sure, knowledge about the project that we are collaborating with. And what we are trying to do from the Kilian Jornet Foundation, also using Kilian's voice, is to be this kind of a bridge in between science and the outdoor community or the general population to get science closer. And so far now we are enrolling 2 research projects that are 2 main ones, because we have also some small collaborations, but that are also co-founded by European Union. There are these POCTEFA projects, which blends Andorra, France, and Spain to all this Pyrenees area. And actually, we are studying one is called Preceptor, that we started this year, that we are studying the impact of pollution, climate change on mountain regions to athletes, to general population. We are studying different variables to see how these changes are impacting the sport activities, the performance on the athlete sector, then on the daily lives of general population, etc. And then we have this other big project that we have been working 3 years already with, that it's a permapidiness, that we are studying the presence of permafrost, that it's one of the big topics and challenges of the environmental nowadays in high mountains, the existence of permafrost, that it's this layer that has been freeze for 2 years, that it's kind of the glue of the mountain, no? and there is the glacier, so inside there is the permafrost. So if there is permafrost in the Pyrenees or not is something that has not been done yet. In the Alps, we know that there's a lot of projects going on in the Mont Blanc Massif, that it's one of the biggest parts with permafrost is melting and having some rock fields and some accidents lately. We have a lot of info, but not on the Pyrenees. And with Perma Pyrenees, we are doing that. And yeah, there is permafrost and there is a lot of good knowledge that we are gathering to bring to the stakeholders related to mountains, outdoor practitioners, HUDs, all the municipalities living there, etc., with the existence of this permafrost and what are the consequences of climate change with this melting.
Okay. And how do you bridge the gap between like complex research for us, like a random people that are just likes to run, and the guy like me who's buying a pair of trail shoes and is going to run? Is it only by Kilian voice? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, sometimes it's challenging. Actually, the other day I was on a meeting from the Perma Pyrenees project, and we have people that it's super like they are just experts of satellites, sensors. For sure, I'm not an expert on that. So once they end up the conversation, I say, okay, guys, now we need that to nail it down a little bit and try to bring this information to the population. How we do that is that they are also very didactic and they are a lot. Sometimes they are professors from universities, so they know how to translate this information. And from the KGF, what we work on is on the communication campaign and different platforms to disseminate that. For example, with the Perma Pyrenees, we created different social media campaigns. We are creating and are working now on a documentary of the project. We have a website that is super interactive. So we are trying to give tools and then use some more plain language to really understand what is happening, and using the different formats that our target is using, and also going to the places that our target is going. For example, we present the Perma Pyrenees sometimes in some trail running events. We talk about it at UTMB when we do one of our projects, which is Running Minds, that is this community runs that we always bring an expert to talk about one topic. So we use these platforms to really try to make this information more accessible. And yeah, Kilian sometimes support all these activations and campaigns through their social medias. And yeah, on Instagram directly you reach 2 million people. So the visibility is huge. If you don't use these kind of platforms, the science world is super like kind of close sometimes, no, to the general population. We normally don't check different papers, etc. So we need to bring this to the people and the guys like you and us that are going to trail running events, and that there's some event going on with the KGF. Let's see, and we talk about this, but in a way that it's friendly for the target.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to know how you do it, because when on the podcast I have like people that are doing research and everything, it's always the same challenge. Like they have very important and useful informations that we should know, but we don't know them because it's always like too hard. Like we're not going for papers and everything. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to see, for example, documentaries and like even Instagram and everything. I feel like it's always where now we are getting all the important informations like this one. So yeah, I think it's very, very interesting. And tell us, is the data showing us a path to recovery for the mountains, or are we strictly like in damage control mode now and like we cannot do anything? Tell us.
No, I mean, there's always space for hope, and this is our goal here. And I think that every person has a lot to say and a lot to do, even if it's a small step. We are for sure in a situation that it's not easy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happening in the world that feels that they are more important, or at least they are more has more priority, and maybe they are. There's a lot of things going at the social, economical level for sure, but we don't have to forget the environmental one, that it's without a planet, we don't have anything else. So we need to really take care. It's kind of for me, it's like when you said, if you have health, you have everything. But if
Mhm.
you don't have health, no, on your own,
Yeah.
you can have money, you can have friends, you can have whatever you want, but you won't be able to enjoy it. So we have to consider that a little bit like this, that we need to
Okay.
take care about the planet. And yeah, we are in a moment that we all know climate change has been rising temperatures. That means glacier retreat. That means hydrological instability, permafrost melting, which leads to instability in terms of accidents for people accessing to high mountains, or just villages living nearby, like what happened in Blatten in Switzerland.
Yeah.
That is village, that was, and it was not the glacier. It was that some permafrost wall was melt. I mean, some permafrost was melt. Then the wall of the mountain just fell down, and then it pushes all the glacier down, and all
Mm.
the ice and water cover the village. No, so there is a lot of things happening, but we have to take in mind that mountains have most of the fresh water that we need, or that exists in the planet. The 73% of biodiversity is hosted in mountains. So again, there is a lot of there is a space of hope. There is a lot to do. News nowadays have this kind of sensationalism approach of giving the bad news first, that it's where everyone goes. But when you work in projects like the foundation, you realize that there are a lot of projects and a lot of people trying to do good things, and that
Mhm.
there is a good stuff going on, and there is some space for hope. But as we also need, and these projects need, it's needed to support
Yeah.
economically or financially from institutions, private sector, public sector, and also at a social level, not to really push
Yeah.
sometimes politics to move towards these actions
Mm.
that sometimes are not that politic friendly if you want to reach some votes, but that they are now very important to go through.
Yeah. And I think in the beginning you said that you were working with brands. How do brands react when you tell them they need to produce less or differently? How this relationship works?
Mhm. Yeah. For example, when we work with brands, so we work at a public level, as I mentioned, we have some projects from different public institutions, and then privately, no? And privately, for example, with Normal, we work under the 1% for the Planet umbrella.
Yeah.
That is this program that puts together private sector with third sector or NGOs or foundations, and that they give the 1% of its sales, that it's not the revenue that it says, to the projects that they want. In this case, Normal gives it to the foundation, and we have other private partners that goes that way. So, for example, platforms like 1% or B Corp are easily to get in contact with private brands that are aligned with the values. So it's
Yeah.
kind of easy to work with them. And for example, we are not that involved on trying to change their supply chain or the way of producing itself, the products, but we are trying to help them to do a positive impact. I mean, they are committed to, with the brands that we are working with, they are committed to reduce their impact, and this is shown on their supply chain, etc. But we are not maybe working on that directly with them. We are trying to see, okay, this is is a brand that is aligned with our values. Let's collaborate privately with them, and what can we do together? And they support us in projects like Restore the Trails, that we are trying to restore different degraded trails in different parts of the world, with Running Minds, these community events that allow us to also educate and reach audience to really disseminate all the information that we may have. We are also supported by brands to develop different educational projects to reach the youth, that we really believe that if we change this mindset from the very beginning, it's also one of the things that we need to do this change at the future. So we work a lot with the schools, universities, and these are projects supported by private companies. And then actually with the Kilian Jornet Foundation, we have also worked on developing communication campaigns for these companies sometimes, because we are also experts on trying to not convert this message into something more digestible, more friendly to understand the message. So we are also offering this to different partners, and maybe that's another way of reaching some funds to us. It's not by donation, but offering some kind of services from the KGF. But this is how we normally work with the private sector. But we always have this ethical meeting also with Kilian and the board of trustees to evaluate if we are joining or not this company, if they are aligned or not with us.
To stay a bit on this subject about like changing the mindsets and like education, I think I spotted like a sentence on the website like mimicking nature in the educational activities that you were doing. And I wanted to talk a bit about this and how does it take place in the learning process.
Yeah, sure. Actually, the coordinator of the educational blog is Nuria Borgada, which is Kilian's mom. So this having Kilian's mom, that she has been a teacher for 30 years, and that she has been using these different ways of learning and educating, more in contact with nature, trying to observe and get in contact outdoors to really understand the different topics that we are sharing. Having her on board is for us, I think, a super added value, because also when you meet Nuria, you realize also why Kilian is how he is, and you said, okay, this comes from, and all the educational projects that we develop from the KGF, Nuria is involved, and we work on these educational and didactic units that has always a time of reflection, has always a time of experiencing the situation outdoors. And with these two things, for sure, there is then the block of being at the class, just listening about the topic and interacting with the professors. But I think that the added value of experiencing the topic outdoors and being having this kind of critique or just reflection about the topic, they are two things that work very good for us in the educational projects.
And how do you talk like to the younger generation about like climate change and all of this subject without causing like eco anxiety? What's the
Yeah, I mean, here we have two challenges when we go to the younger generations. From one side, this to avoid translating this eco-anxiety feeling that it would make them to just reject the topic and say, okay, this is not me, I cannot do anything. I'll take my phone and this is my world. And this is the second challenge, the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, we are all connected now, for sure. We are using technology. I have my phone here. You will have it too. We are super connected. But the younger generation, sometimes they are maybe too deep on platforms, on Instagrams, on TikToks, and some examples that may differ from the reality of their environments. And it's super difficult to take them out of this, no? So again, what we are trying to do with the educational project is to find out ways to reconnect with them and that they listen to you, because it's not that easy. I think that it happened also on my generation, if someone older have this same conversation, but it's difficult, no? So we are always trying to find the creative approach of connecting with them, and how we are approaching to avoid this eco-anxiety. And I think that we are doing that as a whole on the communication of the Kilian Jornet Foundation different projects, is try to, there is a problem, but we always bring a kind of a solution or some potential actions to do. Because if I just tell you, glaciers are retreating, you'll be like, okay, I cannot do anything. That's something that it will bring this, and it's creating this eco-anxiety. But if I say, glaciers are retreating, but there are these projects going on, you can support it like this, and you can do these actions, and with that may not be enough, but then you can talk to a friend, and you have something to do, even if they are small steps. And giving that something to do and something to take action with is how we approach to get younger people involved in our projects.
And I think about the people that are listening to the podcast, like how can we engage with the foundation?
So actually, we have on our website, Kilian Jornet Foundation .org, or our Instagram account. You can just get in contact with us, and if you have any project suggestions, etc., we are always open to listen to it. Actually, we have just launched the ambassador program. That is a program that we have just did an open call to outdoor enthusiasts, athletes, scientists, educators that have some project or have been involved in some projects and that want to be part of the KGF ambassadors. That would have some benefits with the program. We have all the information on our website, but this is one way to get involved now with the Kilian Jornet Foundation. And on the other side, for sure, as I mentioned before, financial support is always needed. We are always looking and seeking for private, public fundings, private direct people or companies that can support us and the different kind of projects that we have nowadays. So you can be involved just sharing some projects, being involved on that, supporting our projects with your knowledge, or also, and very important too, financially wise.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about the ambassador part. Yeah, I think it's a very cool thing, even if you can meet with the others to talk about those subjects. So, okay, very interesting. And as runners, what is the one thing like we should all do during a race, like a small thing, but like to have the environment? I'm thinking about like practical things that we can do in our everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, the transportation thing is something that we have all to consider on our daily life. No, how I move to point B, A to B, if I can do some carpooling, if I can go by walking, cycling, etc. But that's something that we have to think on our daily basis. But in terms of being a trail runner and what can I do? I think that the first thing that we can all do when going outdoors to a place for racing or just running is to get some information of this place. I mean, we are always running on places or visiting places that then we don't really know anything about biodiversity, about the flora, fauna, about the challenges, about the projects that may be going on. So just having this knowledge about where you are racing. If you go to even DPMB, just check what are the projects going on the Chamonix Valley and just get informed, because from there you will learn different topics and challenges from that area, and you will know what to do to get this positive impact, even if it's small or big. But I think that having information from the place, which you can get from the different natural parks, from the different administrations, from the races itself, we are trying to motivate race organizers to give also visibility to the place that they are celebrating the event. Just know the area, because from there you will just have a lot of ideas on how to behave better to create a positive impact when you're around.
Okay. So we're getting closer to the end of the episode, but first we have the subscribers' questions. So the first question is, if you could change one law globally regarding mountain protection, what would it be?
Glaciers protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are now enrolled with different glaciologists like Jean-Baptiste Bosson, Heidi Sevestre, that are working towards a law to protect a glacier as natural areas that must be protected, like it happened with the ocean, that they protected 30% of the ocean. So we are trying also to protect these places. So that means avoiding have some mineries going on the places, etc. And then to protect the post-glacial ecosystem. That this is something that is more new, because post-glacial ecosystems just appeared recently after the glacier melt, but there's a lot of biodiversity and there is a lot of natural values that are relevant to protect. So I would say that's working on that.
Really focus on the glaciers.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other question is, what is the long distance vision for the foundation in 10 years from now?
Yeah, good question. I think that reaching more places, reaching more local organizations. We have now, we are a super small team. We have a lot of local organizations that help us in situ to develop the projects. And I think that reaching new places that are relevant in the mountain scope would be our goal, and also become one of the references to learn about environmental situation, but also how to get involved. I think that this is something that is our vision for the upcoming years, to say, okay, this foundation gives a lot of information, but also makes it easier to engage with like projects with restored trails, running mines, ambassador program. I can be part of this transition. So I think that being this light on the transition would be our vision.
And how many are you in the team now?
Now we are 5 people on the team.
Okay.
in terms of staff, as I mentioned, there is this board of trustees plus Kilian as a president. But we are 5 people.
Okay. It's very interesting because when we see all the different things that you do, like it feels like you're 30. I don't know, but okay, so you're 5. Okay.
Yeah, we are 5. But again, we have. I mean, we need people to collaborate with, and I think that this is also a good example to say that. Collaboration is key on these kind of projects, and thanks that we have good partners, scientists, people supporting us. We are able to be just 5, but activating many projects worldwide.
And finally, we have the question I ask to every guest at the end of the podcast. If you had to summarize trail running in one word or a sentence, what would it be?
Freedom.
Freedom? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think that it's freedom and connection. That is something that we are lacking, connection with the environment. And just connecting a little bit more with the environment would make it easier to love this environment and to protect them at the end.
Laura, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure for hosting you on the podcast. I invite all the listeners to check out the Kilian Jornet Foundation, how do you say it? Social media? Social media. My French is coming. I don't have the English anymore. And go on the website, and maybe we can check the ambassador program you were talking about. So we have a lot of things to check. We'll have a documentary, I think, to see also. So go check out all of this. Laura, thank you again.
Yeah, no, thanks to you for having us.